So I was like, yes, I support you making him sweat. Now let's make him sweat enough that you can slip out of this relationship. Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. Hello if you're new. So today's video is going to be a review of Love Island USA Season 2, Episode 22. I hope everybody is doing as well as can be, and I really do hope everybody is being as proactive as possible in supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. And if you're still on the lookout for some resources, I've linked some in the description. Feel free to comment down below your thoughts on my commentary. I'm always up for a chat, I'm always up for a debate. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. No hard feelings. So, episode 22. I have realized that I've been naming my episodes wrong. They're going to be the correct episode name from now on. So sorry for people who have been confused. But yes. So, coming into this episode, we know there's going to be new boys. And we know there's going to be a vote out. But after the last episode, things that I was looking out for in this episode was perhaps what people were going to do after this recoupling, if people were going to change their behaviours, because obviously they didn't know that there was going to be a vote out. So in terms of that, I was kind of looking to see what Jalen was going to do. He was obviously disappointed that he wasn't with Kirsten. Kirsten was obviously his first pick and Cher was his backup. Ideally, he wanted to be with Kirsten. And I think he knew that he needed Kirsten to stay in. So I was kind of interested to see whether he was going to carry on pursuing Kirsten to see if he could kind of secure her for the next recoupling, because obviously they didn't really know if there was going to be a vote out or not. So that's what I was kind of interested in. But we didn't really see much of him this episode, to be honest. Then I was kind of thinking if Cher was going to kind of switch it up, because she was a bit desperate before that recoupling. Like, she was like now giving Calvin attention and like, don't switch up on me, don't switch up on me. I was like, oh girl, you leaving your ass. So I was kind of like, well, what's going to happen with that now? Is there going to be like a confrontation? Because obviously she's disappointed. I mean, it was embarrassing. Like, I think she was a little bit blindsided. I don't think she thought she was going to be ditched. But I think in that moment she was processing, like, he knew I was playing him. I haven't been playing the best game. So I wasn't sure whether she was just going to leave it or whether we're going to have a little juicy argument between them, where she kind of reveals herself. But then I was kind of thinking maybe she might try and win him back, because she's kind of thinking me and Jalen is not very stable. But again, we didn't really see much of Cher. So I think she kind of just was like, the jig is up. Like, I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my time, because I feel like my time is running out. Obviously, Mckenzie and Connor, we all kind of knew that was going to blow over. And I kind of wanted to see whether she was going to react to the speech or not, how she was going to react to it. Interested to hear from you guys. Was there anything that you were kind of hoping to see this episode based on the aftermath of the recoupling? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. But in terms of my predictions for the vote, obviously I can't vote because I'm not American and I watch it late anyway. But in terms of the vote, if I was voting, I would have voted for Aaron and Mckenzie, because I would want Mckenzie to stay in for the drama. Justine and Caleb are my favourite couple, but I just kind of assumed that they'd have enough votes. So I would have tactically voted for Mckenzie and Aaron so that Aaron and Mckenzie would stay in. And I kind of just assumed, obviously, Celly would be safe. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of did want to see Celly and Johnny on the chopping block and maybe have something like they did, like they pick one person to save. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, I kind of did want to see Johnny and Celly on the chopping block just so that they could have an idea about public perception and maybe get her thinking about whether Johnny had actually told her the entire truth. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear from you guys who you voted for. Did you vote tactfully? Did you just vote for who your favorite couple was? And who were you hoping were going to be on the chopping block? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. But in terms of my predictions, I kind of knew Jalen and Cher were going out, like, for real. Like, they were going to be in the bottom, and I just assumed that they were going to be out. But in terms of who else I thought would be in the bottom, I kind of thought Carrington and Laurel, because A, they're boring, and 2, he did Kirsten dirty. I know Kirsten has a lot of support. Obviously, I possibly thought Johnny and Celly, like I said, just to see what the public was, just to see if, because obviously people hate Johnny. I think lots of people don't like him, but people love Celly. So therefore, it's kind of like, we hate Johnny, but we love Celly, but we don't want Celly to go. We want Celly to stay in so she can find somebody else. So therefore, by default, we have to save them until we can think of another way to get rid of them. So it was kind of 50-50 on whether Celly and Johnny would be safe. Who else did I think? I thought maybe Maura and Connor, because they're a boring couple. They are. But I thought maybe not, because Connor has a lot of support right now. He has a lot of support from people who don't like Mckenzie, a lot of support from people who do actually generally like him, and a lot of support from people who kind of are liking that he's being a bit more savage, standing up for himself and getting into this new relationship. And then obviously people who feel sorry for him as well. And then I thought Mckenzie and Aaron as well. I wasn't really sure on Mckenzie. I thought possibly she could be saved because she does have a lot of support, but I'm not sure if people would vote for her, whether it would be out of tacticality or whether they would waste a vote on her, because there's a lot of stronger couples out there. So I wasn't sure if people were going to waste a vote on them, to be honest. So I thought they could potentially be in the bottom as well. That was kind of my predictions. I kind of knew Justine and Caleb were going to be safe, and I kind of assumed Kirsten and Calvin were going to be safe as well. But yeah, let me know what your predictions were. So obviously the aftermath, let's talk about it. So Aaron is basically processing being with Mckenzie, and I just feel so sorry for Aaron, because I kind of feel like he is trying to make it work, or he was trying to make it work with Mckenzie, but at the same time he's kind of thinking, this is a shitty situation, this is not going to advance my game the way that I need it to, but I also kind of don't really have a choice. Nobody is checking for me. So I kind of just felt like poor Aaron was stuck in a rut. He just was not in the ideal situation. He wasn't. And I think he was trying to strategize, but he's just like, I literally have no strategy here. So I guess he had no choice but to stick with Mckenzie, to be honest. Mckenzie was really and truly his only leverage. One thing to note was that Caleb was giving him advice, to try and make things work with Mckenzie and just not go in with preconceived judgments about her, which I think is solid advice. And then obviously Johnny is standing there, but he's not really entertaining the conversation, because he's like, you could tell he was just like, oh, you guys aren't bitching about Mckenzie, so I'm not interested. Did anyone else peep that? Johnny is obsessed with Mckenzie. It's so fucking weird. I feel like my theory is that she reminds him of one of his exes, that they didn't break off on good terms. That's what my theory is, because it's this weird. It's this very weird. Anyway, so Mckenzie is obviously pressed about Connor's speech. I mean, Connor's speech was definitely petty. He was talking about like, I can finally be myself around this person, and I don't have to pretend to be anybody else, and I don't feel under pressure and all that, yeah. And you know what? Connor is definitely entitled to talk his shit. Yes, it was petty, but Connor is entitled to talk his shit. He's clearly in his feelings. He's been keeping it cute. I mean, I can understand why Mckenzie is upset, but I can also understand why Connor's being petty. I mean, Mckenzie, I mean, you did him dirty, sis. Anyway, so then basically she starts like bitching to the girls about it, and I guess the girls are just basically trying to tell her, like, look, obviously he's hurt, and obviously he told you everything was fine, but obviously he's in his feelings. And she was like, oh, but then why would he tell me everything is fine just to cuss me out? And then Justine kind of takes that opportunity to kind of weave in that she didn't think that Mckenzie should have been talking to Connor about her relationship problems, which I think it was a valid thing to bring up. She shouldn't have been doing that. That was very cheeky of her. But of course, Mckenzie, classic, she deflects. And then after, she's just upset. And then Justine has a talk with her, which is something that I don't understand, is that Justine felt the need to tell her that Connor still had feelings for her and he'd been keeping them inside. And I was just kind of like, well, why are you telling her that if you don't want them to be together? Because that just sounds to me like you're kind of fanning a flame here, and now you're giving the girl hope. So I personally didn't understand that thought process, but I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Should Justine have told Mckenzie that Connor still had feelings for her, or should she have just left it? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. And what do you think Justine's motive there was? Was she trying to make Mckenzie be a bit more understanding of Connor's feelings, or what? What do you guys think that was all about? So then, Mckenzie was just a mess this episode. Mckenzie is just going all around, doing a tour, telling people about her feelings, yeah? So the next person on the tour is Maura. And again, she shouldn't have told Maura. It wasn't any of Maura's business how Mckenzie was feeling and what had gone on between her and Connor. That's not Maura's business, and it's tacky considering that Maura is now Connor's girl. So for me, that was tacky. Then, and you could just tell Maura was just there nodding, but she was thinking like, bitch, why the fuck are you talking to me? Like, what the fuck is this? And it's kind of like, so what do you want Maura to do now? And then she just took ages to get to the point of, oh, I'm going to start keeping my distance from you and Connor, but it's not about you. Just say that, bitch. What's all of this, like, piling on? It's just a bit tacky to me. It's just a bit tacky. Maura's in the confessional, like, she just feels like she's being very selfish and entitled right now, and she's just being a drama queen, which I agree with. Mckenzie was definitely being a drama queen, and basically just making the point of everybody in here has an ex or some sort in here, but everybody's dealing with things fine. I just don't understand why she's just complaining about it, because this isn't the type of environment where you can be so affected by things like this, because these things are bound to happen. And Maura definitely had a point there. So then the next person on the poor Mckenzie feel sorry for myself tour was Aaron. And again, this is highly inappropriate to tell this new guy, poor guy who's trying to make it work with you, didn't really want to be with you in the first place, and now you're telling him about your feelings about Connor. What? Girl, it's a mess. It's a mess, and you look a mess out here. And then she's talking about this speech, and I'm thinking, Aaron knows, because in his speech, in the recoupling, he was trying to say things to make her feel better, because obviously Connor was like, oh, I couldn't be myself around her. And in Aaron's speech, he even put in, I feel like I can be myself around this girl, to be nice and to counteract and make her feel better. So it feels like a slap in the face for me. And I just felt sorry for Aaron, because he was just there like, for fuck's sake, I didn't really want to be with her in the first place, and this is what I'm going to have to deal with. I just felt sorry for Aaron. And then, of course, she's just moping around, like, basically saying Connor betrayed her and all this stuff. And sorry, Mckenzie, it's a bit rich. It's a bit rich. You brought back a whole new man, and you're talking about betrayed. Betrayed, sis. You had Connor out here, standing here looking stupid with your fucking teddy bear, and you're talking about betrayed. It's just all very weird to me. Like, the thought process, this is not adding up. So then the final stop on the tour is to Connor, and they talk, and she tells him, you know, you betrayed me, and basically said that she doesn't like him and Maura together, and that he should have picked her. And yeah, it's just feeling very entitled. It just feels very like, what? Why would you expect him to pick you, sis, after you did him like this? it's just messy, and you know, you are not entitled to tell anybody who they should be dating. So it's just a mess. It was a sad and sorry sight to see, to be honest. And then she accuses him of wanting to get back at her. And she does kind of have a point there. Connor was being intentionally petty with that. I don't fault him for that. I mean, he's definitely entitled to be petty, but he definitely did say some things hoping it was going to hurt her feelings. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Was he just being honest, or do you feel like there was a bit of pettiness there in Connor's speech? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. And then Connor does this stupid thing where he asks Mckenzie what she wants to do now, and it's just like, don't even open the floor for that, babe. Don't even. And then they're just sitting there in silence, and it's just very awkward. So yeah, at that point in the episode, I was like, yeah, please don't get back together, please. For both of your sakes. And then there was this little snippet with the girls and a toilet paper prank that, I don't know, it just reminded me of, you know, in the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was like teething up all the fucking toilet paper, and like you had to like drive to Timbuktu to get fucking 6-pack of toilet paper. And I was just like, what a waste of toilet paper, you know? But yeah, that was all fake and scripted, and it was so obvious. Then we see Laurel and Carrington's boring ass. I don't really care to speak about it, what they were getting up to. Then we have Celly and Johnny having a talk together, and Celly is talking about how she just knows her family is going to love him, and Johnny is there like talking like he is actually going to be accepted by Celly's family after the disrespect, and it was just absolutely delusional. Like, that was a bit funny. Let me see Maura and Connor, who look very happy together, but they are both boring. Like, together, they're boring. Maura is boring. Connor is boring individually. I feel like I've said in my prior podcast, their only appeal is when they're in relationship drama. Connor as an individual is boring, but he's entertaining when he's having beef with Mckenzie. Maura by herself is boring, but is entertaining when she's either beefing with Mckenzie or she's having a messy relationship. That is their only appeal, in my opinion. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Do you feel like Maura and Connor are an exciting couple to watch, or are you getting a little bit bored when they come on the screen? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. So then we have Calvin and Kirsten, who at this point in the episode early in, we're getting really cozy. They kiss. Calvin is happy. And what I noticed is that we didn't see Cher and Calvin talk at all. We didn't really see them have that conversation of, oh, wow, I ditched you for Kirsten. We didn't really see that talk, which I thought was quite interesting. So I'm kind of thinking they both know what it is, so they're just going to mind their own businesses. But yeah, he really just said share who, to be honest. Then we see Justine having an emotional moment because she's missing her family, and Caleb comforts her, and that was a really cute moment. Then we have this card game before the dramatic eviction, and it was interesting. Obviously, we all know this is all just phony business, but let's just talk about it. So, like, not card reading in general, but obviously this one wasn't like actually done by a professional. Interestingly, Celly and Johnny asked Celly asked if they were going to have beautiful babies. Now, let's talk about it. Is Celly kind of fantasizing about having designer mixed race babies? Is she fantasizing about it? Because there is the fetish of mixed race kids, the Latina and black mix. There is that fetish. Does she subscribe to that fetish, or was this just an innocent comment? I'd be interested to hear from you guys, but it kind of felt a little bit, she wants designer babies to me. To me, it sounded like. I still love Celly, but it sounded like that. It did. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Am I just reading too much into things, or do you think Miss Celly wants a designer mixed reds baby. I'll be interested to hear from you guys. So, I said Celly again. Celly. But yeah, it also said some other positive stuff. But yeah, we all know the cards is wrong, whether she's going to twig in the house or whether she's going to find out outside. Then we have Caleb and Justine, and their fortune is love, which they said was certain, which is cute. That was a little cute one. Then we have Calvin and Kirsten, and the card said, they asked, are their heads going to turn? And the card said no, which we know was going to be some bunch of bullshit. At the time, I thought was interesting because obviously there was going to be some new boys going in. So I was just kind of just like, Because obviously Calvin and Kirsten are a strong couple. We know that as a pair, they are a strong couple. But Kirsten doesn't need Calvin to be in a strong couple. But Calvin definitely needs Kirsten to be in a strong couple. So that is very interesting. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Does anyone feel like Calvin adds anything of substance? Could he couple up with somebody else and still be good? Or do you feel like it is Kirsten who's the anchor of this relationship at that point in the episode? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Then Ariel walks in. She does that little strut that she does. It was a nice strut today. So we didn't get to see Mckenzie and Aaron's fake fortune, unfortunately. But actually before that, Connor and Maura are hyped to kiss in front of Mckenzie. And it was a cute little intimate kiss. Like, it wasn't no tongues. They kept it tasteful. But it was, those PG films where there's like, that kiss. And it's just like, it was one of them kisses. And Mckenzie, yeah, she was a little bit pressed. But yeah, as I said, Ariel then walked in. And I already knew and I already knew that Cher and Jalen were up for the chop, and they were probably getting cut. So obviously she comes in, she reveals the results. So the safe couples were Maura and Connor. I wasn't surprised that they stayed. I think it's mostly Connor who's holding this relationship. I think Connor has a lot of support now, and I think his support was definitely dependent upon Mckenzie. But I think obviously we know the result now. I think now that the Mckenzie is out of the way, I don't think people will be using their votes to save him anymore. I don't think. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Is anybody like Team Connor? Like, they want to see Connor get to the end? They want to see Connor have a success story? Or are you only kind of invested in Connor because of Mckenzie? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Then we have Justine and Caleb. No surprises there. Kirsten and Calvin, I predicted they'd be safe. And then we had Celly and Johnny that are safe. And like I said, I was a little bit disappointed because I did want to see them on the chopping block, like I said, so that maybe Celly would realise some things. But yeah, obviously it's very clear that Celly is the one holding up this relationship. Obviously we have our vulnerable couples, which are Jalen and Cher, Mckenzie and Aaron, Carrington and Laurel. Not really any surprises there. Jalen and Cher. Jalen is trash. Cher just didn't really do herself any favours, trying to insinuate that she was going to step on Justine's toes and pursue Caleb. So her and Jalen being in a couple was just, you just kind of put the padlock on the suitcase, to be honest. Mckenzie and Aaron. I think obviously there is people that don't like Mckenzie, but I also think that the people who support her probably didn't really want to waste their vote on her to save her, because they have other favourites as well. And then Carrington and Lauren, as I said, they're boring, and Carrington, he did our girl Kirsten dirty, so that was no surprise for me there. But there's 4 islanders going, so only one couple is going to be safe. So And it was down to the house. They were splitting them up. Boys and girls pick one islanders. The boys pick a girl and the girls pick a boy. Already I knew, no brainer, the girls were going to pick Carrington. But in terms of the boys, I kind of thought they were going to pick Laurel as well, because I think they were going to assume that the girls were going to pick Carrington, so it makes sense to save Laurel. But I thought possibly Mckenzie, because she's an OG, but I thought it was very unlikely, so I did think they were going to pick Laurel, and obviously that was the result. But what was quite interesting, when they got saved, I don't know, I kind of feel like I saw a face from Carrington. I saw a face that was kind of like, the public don't like us. Perhaps I've made the wrong decision here. I could be reading into things, but I feel like I did kind of see a face from Carrington. I'd be interested to hear from you guys. So that is kind of making me think maybe something could happen between Kirsten, because obviously Kirsten was getting very emotional. She was basically crying when she thought that Carrington could go home. She was crying when she delivered the news. It sounded like she really cared about Carrington, and she confessed it did bring those feelings up after the eviction. She confessed it brought those feelings up. So I think possibly, obviously there's some new developments near the end of the episode, which I'll talk about. I think possibly there could be a rekindling there, but I think it's down to Carrington, because he now knows that the public is not feeling him and Laurel. And for him to stay in the game longer, he's going to have to ditch her. And who is going to be the person that, if he ditches her, he's going to be guaranteed a shoe-in to stay in the house longer, perhaps even the final? The only option is Kirsten. So I think there is a possibility that he might want that old thing back. And I think Kirsten would be receptive to it. I think she would. Carrington would definitely need to prove that. I don't think she's going to just, open herself up willy-nilly. But I think possibly that could be something that could happen. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Obviously, Ben, the Islanders not picked her out. Cher, we knew it. We knew your ass was going. Poor Aaron, he's gone. Jalen, who was trash, we knew he was going. And Mckenzie. She really dug herself in a hole. And I think her ditching Connor was definitely the nail in the coffin. I think if Jalen wasn't trash, maybe she could have survived. But I think who really cemented her coffin, I think her leaving Connor was very instrumental in her downfall. But I think if Jalen wasn't trash, there was a possibility that she could recover. And I think her conduct now trying to get Connor back didn't do her any favours as well. So I think those decisions were the core reasons why she was sent packing tonight. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Where was Mckenzie's downfall? Was it ditching Connor? Was it when Jalen jumped her? Or was it the episode before when she was trying to get Connor back? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. But yeah, Connor and Mckenzie, they have their little moment. Connor's crying. He said that he cares for her, but, he ain't going to quit the show, so he's going to stick with Maura. She's saying, I still care about you. You were my experience, and, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. All of that gushy stuff. And then she goes. But you know what? Mckenzie, she gave us some good TV. I do wish her all the best. I do think that she just needs somebody with the qualities that she's looking for, and to meet them with those qualities. Building a man never goes well for you, sis. But I do wish her the best, and I do think she is going to have success in whatever she chooses to do. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear from you guys. What was your kind of relationship with Mckenzie? Did you like her? Did you not? Were you kind of like, sometimes you loved her, sometimes you hated her? And did you think she made good TV? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. So, and she also tells Maura that she wishes her the best. I'm not sure. I feel like that was a little bit phony, but yeah, that was interesting. We also see Johnny and Celly talking after the eviction, and Johnny is basically like how he was nervous because he thought he had ruined it for them, and now basically he thinks that he's off the hook. See, this is what you guys have done. Now you've made Johnny believe that the public have forgiven him, or perhaps maybe we didn't see everything that went on, and now he's smug and he's comfortable. And I tell you, I've had enough, and things need to change. We need to put the foot on his neck. We need to put the foot back on his neck and make sure that he is no longer comfortable. I don't know how we're going to do this. I don't know how we're going to do it, but something needs to be done, and we need to start plotting today. I'm just hoping one of these new boys spill the tea or something, but we need something that is going to expose Johnny quickly, and hopefully within the next few days, to set the foundation of Celly kicking him to the curb. Then after that, we are introduced to the new boys. So let's talk about it. So first one, Noah. Not my cup of tea, but he's a southern boy. I do like a southern accent. And he seems like decent, and he seems like he has a decent personality. Then we have Benny. He's hot. He's got that kind of Mr. Steal Your Girl vibe about him. And I'm not gonna lie, he does look like Johnny, but with a neck. And interestingly enough, his type sounds like Celly. I think he is a better version of Johnny, to be honest. Who knows? He could be trash as well. I mean, he could be trash. But I think this stage in the game, people are now wanting to get in there and to stay there. And they know that playing around doesn't really get them anywhere. So I think that he is going to go for Celly, and he is going to stick with Celly if he is successful. But who knows? He could be trash. He could be. But right now, I think, between we know your actual trash and possible trash, I think we should be going for the possible trash option at this point. We got to work with the material. We got to work with what we got. So, but how are you guys thinking about Benny? How are you guys thinking about him? Is he looking fine to you? Is he looking fine? Well, what you thinking? Is he appealing to you? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Is there any Benny stands out there? Let me know. But yeah, it sounds, from what he was saying about his type, it sounds like he's going after Celly. Then we have Bennett. Again, not really my cup of tea. And personality-wise, I'm not really sure either, to be honest. But he says he's going for Kirsten, which I thought was interesting when he said it. And honestly, I wasn't really sure if he was going to be successful, to be honest, looking at him. I was very surprised that he was. But I kind of just writ him off, to be honest. Noah, I'm not sure if he even said what his type was, but I did think Maura, to be honest. So yeah. Obviously, they have their dramatic entrance. They sneak into the bedroom and the lights come on and they're like, "Hey, everybody." That was funny. I enjoyed that. And obviously the girls are excited, particularly Maura. So I already knew she was going to want to see what they were saying. Celly is excited. And I think everybody was like, yes, Celly is excited. It's time to throw out the trash, Shadi. She says that they're cute. And Kirsten says that they're cute as well. So I was kind of thinking, this is going to be interesting. I think Calvin is definitely going to have to watch out. And I think Johnny is definitely gonna have to watch out. That was my first impressions. I'm not really gonna lie. Even though I thought Noah was gonna go for Maura, I just kind of like, I mean, Connor is just, he's not really a competitor, so I wasn't even like thinking like Connor needs to watch out, to be honest. He just watches people. He just watches people steal his girls, so you know, at least you know the others have a little bit of fight in them, maybe. So right off the bat, Johnny is in here asking all of these questions. He's claiming Celly. He's making Celly breakfast. He's telling Celly he's worn them off. He's tight. You can tell he's pressed, he's nervous, and he's feeling threatened. And I absolutely love to see it. I love to see it. And you know, Celly, she peeps him. She peeps that he's nervous and he's intimidated. And she's basically like, yeah, it's time to put that pressure on. It's time to make him sweat. It's time to make him work for it. And I'm like, sis, sis, really and truly, you should have been making him work for it. But I respect the delayed work. I would respect it. So I was like, yes, I support you making him sweat. Now let's make him sweat enough that you can slip out of this relationship. So, you know, everybody's talking their shit. The new boys are talking their shit, talking about like, yeah, you know, I am feeling someone, you know, might be feeling some people in here, la, la, la. You know, I'm here for the competition. I work well under pressure. You know them ones. And then we have the home dates. So the first one is Bennett. He picks Kirsten. And Kirsten said that she's actually interested and he is her type, which was interesting information to me. Like I said, I didn't suspect it. She said she's feeling him on the date. Bennett said he's feeling her. Kirsten, you know, Kirsten is saying that she thinks it's going well. They've got chemistry. Bennett is now saying that he's all about Kirsten, and Kirsten is the only person that he's going to pursue. So it looks like it is the beginning of a relationship potentially here. I ain't gonna lie to you though, when Kirsten was talking about, oh, my family is from a long line of police and military, I was just like, how far back, sis? How far back are we talking, sis? I ain't gonna lie, I felt a little bit worried. What do you guys think? Do you think it's nothing, you know? Maybe her long line of cops in her family are the good ones. Maybe. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting piece of information, I have to say. Well, what we thinking about that? Calvin is being very relaxed and basically saying that he's going to give Kirsten space to explore and then make a decision about who she wants. But Caleb tells him that he needs to be more aggressive. And I think Caleb is definitely right. I think in this stage of the game, you can't be relaxing. You definitely don't need to be on Kirsten like Johnny was being on Celly, but just being attentive and, you know, subtly reminding Kirsten that you are still here. I can agree with that. I can't speak for all girls, but I like a little fight. I like people fighting over me. So I feel like, yeah, let her know that you're willing to fight. I feel like that was good advice from Caleb, in my opinion. And it turns out that Caleb was right. Ish. So then Kirsten then has a talk with Caleb and basically sort of friend zones him, to be honest. And Calvin, you know, he's trying to put up a fight. He's just basically saying, because she kind of lightly friend zones him, like still kind of providing a little bit of promise, like, you know, I'm feeling Bennett a bit more, like it's not completely closed off, but I'm feeling more of a friend vibe. And he's just like, oh, well, you know, if you change your mind, let me know. And I'm thinking, that is still very soft. You need to be a bit more aggressive than that. You should have been like, well, you know, don't write me off. I'm going to change your mind. I'm going to convince you that I'm the better option. And then be about your words. All of this, okay, if you change your mind, let me know. That's just going to lead her to this other guy. So I think Calvin definitely still needs to be a bit more aggressive, because if Kirsten goes with this other guy, Calvin is going to be vulnerable, because next is going to be girls pick. and there's now more boys than girls. So it's very clear that whoever's not picked in the next recoupling is going home. So Calvin definitely needs to get his strategy down on lock. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Is Calvin pursuing or trying to still pursue Kirsten a lost cause, or do you feel like he should go at it and, you know, still try and pursue her aggressively like Caleb said? Noah picks Moira, and, you know, they seem to be vibing well. On the date, he's Mr. Nice Guy. He's a healthcare provider. He says that he works with disabled kids, and he's just basically talking his shit, to be honest. Talking his shit, trying to make it seem like he's a really nice, caring, friendly guy. And, you know, Maura, she's eating it up. I feel like Maura and Noah look like they could be a couple. I think it's still going to be a boring couple with Maura in it. I think Noah does have a bit more of a personality than Connor, and I'd prefer to see them on my screen than Maura and Connor, because together they're just a bit boring, Maura and Connor. But I'm not really sure who she prefers. I'm not really sure what her head is saying, because she was kind of saying, yeah, she's really feeling him, but then Justine was bringing up Connor and she just felt very uncomfortable. And then there was this, oh, I like how things are going, but then there was a little shot of her face like dropping, like she was trying to keep up this smile. So I don't really know where Maura's head is at right now, and I'm not really sure if I care, to be honest. So then it's Benny's turn, and obviously he takes Celly out on a date. Johnny is heated. The boys are winding him up. The girls are winding him up. Caleb was killing me this whole episode. Caleb was taking the absolute piss. He was like, oh, but he's taller than you and he's stronger than you and he looks like you. What if Celly prefers him? What if he's out there telling Celly all of the shit that you did at Casa Amor? Like, and he was like, oh, were you honest with her about Casa Amor? Caleb is messy, but I'm here for it. But yeah, I'm just thinking they're putting this in the edit, and they're very strategic about the stuff that they're putting in this edit. They're putting in this stuff about the edit about Celly's family, saying that's about Celly thinking her family is going to accept and be very happy with her decision about Johnny. We see the edit where Johnny is sweating. We see the edit where Celly is saying she's interested in being wanted by somebody else. And then we see that edit. Is she going to find out about all the dirty business at Casa Amor? I feel like they are setting us up for a reveal. I hope they are, but I feel like we are finally going to get this reveal. I'm thinking we've got a challenge coming. We got a tweet challenge coming. We got a... You know what? Obviously, they have these things. It's normally in the final week, they meet the parents. I'm guessing this is going to be on FaceTime this year. But they really should have meet the best friends, or one-on-one with best friends, where the best friend spills all of the tea. That could be an option. In the UK one, they've had lie detectors. They banned that in the UK. I don't know about the American version. I feel like they should bring it back. The lie detector one on the UK one was one of my favourite challenges, to be honest. But yes, I feel it. I feel it coming. Anything that causes Johnny discomfort, I'm here for it. Anyway, as I was saying, Johnny was going to spy on the date as well. It's just looking very Despacito. But like I said, anything that makes Johnny uncomfortable, I'm here for it. So, but yeah, some interesting information is that Benny got his first tattoo at 15. And I was at 15? I mean, it can be done. I have seen 15-year-olds get tattoos done. I would not advise it. Oh my God. That kind of just... Literally, when people will be getting their illegal tattoos at 15, they be getting the dumbest shit like mum and dad, and not like the names of their mum and dad. I'm talking MUMDAD on their body. Can you believe? Oh, embarrassing. Anyway, but yeah, his tattoos look good though. They held up well. But yeah, I guess he's a little bit rough around the edges, you know. He's a little bit rough around the edges, you know, if he's getting tattoos at 15. But yeah, then we see a kind of snapshot of tomorrow's episode, and it looks like Johnny is extra pressed and he's putting the pressure on Celly. Celly's not feeling it. Celly's getting a little bit emotional. Perhaps he's pushing Celly away and perhaps into the arms of Benny. And I hope so. But yeah, it's just very telling of Johnny's character. The fact that he was the one who stepped out of the relationship. He was the one doing all of this wild shit in Casa Amor. Celly stayed faithful to him. And now that some new guy is entertaining her, even if it's in the comfort of his own eyesight, he has a problem with it. And you could tell that he's one of those jealous, possessive guys that will be on your ass for cheating, suspecting you of cheating, and he's out here swinging his balls around, swinging his peen around to anyone who will accept it. It's just very telling. I mean, it's just an edit, so I guess we'll see tomorrow. But it's just very telling to me what type of trash man Johnny is. And Celly should run, baby girl, run. But that is basically the rundown of this episode. It was a long one. It was a 2-hour episode today. I think we did need it. It was a good, juicy episode. But yes, do let me know what you thought of my commentary. And let me know what you thought about this episode. What do we think about Mckenzie leaving? What do we think about Maura and Connor? Do we feel like Maura is going to leave Connor for this new Noah guy? What do we think about Kirsten and this new Bennett guy? And do you think Carrington will try and secure Kirsten back? And what do we think about this whole, I guess you could say, love triangle situation with Johnny, Celly and Beanie? What are your hopes? What are your predictions? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to press that notification bell so you know when the next podcast is coming. I'm also trying to get to 1.8 subscribers. We just passed 1.7, so thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel, and thank you to everybody who will subscribe to my channel hopefully after watching this. And till next time, guys, bye.